Well, welcome to this new video where we're going to talk a little bit about Clutch. Because yesterday, the game's developers did something crazy. They dropped something on us a year before the game's release. An hour of pure gameplay, really without interruption, with the developers talking over it and giving some new information about the game. So, today we have an hour of gameplay to sink our teeth into. And this hour of gameplay, well, I'm going to share it with you by simply giving you as much information and as many details about it as possible. This trailer confirms a lot of things, and most of all, a lot of it looks really cool. So today, a big gameplay video on Clutch, knowing that the gameplay I'm showing you here is not in top graphic quality. Unfortunately, since this is the gameplay taken from the session, let's say, specifically from the developer's gameplay sharing. Since this gameplay was published on YouTube, re-downloaded, and now I'll re-upload it for you. Well, just keep in mind that, of course, there are probably some small details, some things that will simply look less nice than in the actual game. The world. So there are also quite a few things that I'm going to discover at the same time as I'm making this video, so it's also going to be a bit of a reaction to everything that's being announced. So, well, we might have some little surprises, but I already know that there are some big crazy things that are going to be confirmed about the game job. So here, this is the introduction of Clutch. Just as a reminder, we're looking at an open-world racing game that's kind of a cross between Need for Speed and Forza Horizon, which will take place both in France and in England. Since, as you can see here, the introduction of the game takes place in London and we're going to drive the famous Multipla. So here, in my opinion, we're on a different timeline from the game. I think we're probably 20 years before the official story of Clutch. We must actually be in the childhood of the two main characters that we'll see later in the game. Where? I think they're trying to show us that they were kind of destined to be drivers, since they were already able to drive the Multipla for their mom. Maybe as early as, I don't know, 10 years old. We're going to see a lot of images, and on top of that, the developers will share some anecdotes and information about the game. Sometimes I may not talk much. It will depend a bit on everything that's announced. So here, it's Theo. He's going to be the main character of the game. We know in advance that in this game, we're going to have quite a few missions like this. That's exactly where there's a side that's maybe a little bit more. It's more Need for Speed-like, in that we're going to have both regular driving, racing, cruising in the open world, but also some missions that are a bit like heists. Some missions are a bit illegal, like in Need for Speed. So here, a little gameplay where we're back, I think, in France. I'm not sure, I can't guarantee that we have access to more neighborhoods in London. That in the introduction of the game, it's possible that we'll have different flashbacks later in the game's story, where we'll have them. The chance to drive around several different neighborhoods again. There's nothing for now that says we'll also have access to the open world in London, even though that would be pretty cool. Anyway, we're back in France with, as I was saying, an hour of gameplay that corresponds to the introduction of the game. So we're going to have, well, all the first missions. So I think it's really cool that the developers did that because it's still quite a risk. Because, well, even though they explained that the game's content was ready for, let's say, the game's release, everything that's going to be optimization work, detail work, improvements to graphics, driving, and so on. Well, in a year, a lot can still change, so I think it's pretty bold of them. Well, on their part, I think it's great that they wanted to show an hour of pure gameplay a year before release. By showing, well, at the same time, probably all the little things that aren't quite clear yet, that aren't totally polished in the game. So here, we must be in the early stages. We have, indeed, the BMW M3 GTR, which is already customized with a little body kit. It references Need for Speed. Most Wanted. There are a lot of references to Need for Speed. Anyway, in this game, we must be in a different timeline, again, where we're about a year before the events of the game. And we must be in the type of race. There are two clubs. There's the basic daytime racing club called the R1K, so those are the official races. Details on how some of them take place during the day, with real circuits, let's say, with official racetracks and everything that comes with it. And alongside that, we have the illegal racing club, which takes place at night. I can't remember what it's called. Midnight something, maybe Midnight Battle or Midnight... I don't remember the name, but that's it. With races that are, let's say, a bit less legal. So here, Cass is Theo's sister. She's the main character's sister. We'll also get to play as her from time to time, depending on what happens. And what's cool is that this is where we'll get a bit of off-road gameplay. So that's something we hadn't seen until now. So it's a chance to see how the vehicles will react. Damn, this kind of shot. But it's true that here, you can clearly see that there are former Forza Horizon developers who worked on this kind of thing. Really, these little fields like that, it's very, very, very Forza Horizon 445, and even 6 actually. A lot of police chases, there will be a lot of them in the game. For now, it hasn't been confirmed. Whether we'll have the police in the open world, or if we'll only have the police during missions. Well, during certain missions, certain races, it would still be cool if we had them in the open world. I'm not sure if the developers are considering that. The map is huge. I know they'll show it as a mini-map in the game's menus. We're dealing with something pretty massive, and we're talking about a game. A game that, let me remind you, takes place in the south of France, with several cities already confirmed, like Monaco. And we'll talk about it later. I think we'll have more detailed images. But Monaco, which is gigantic and even slightly bigger than in real life, so that gives you an idea. The size of the map we're looking at is really, really huge. So here, a bit of off-road gameplay, lots of cutscenes, and an art style that's somewhere between Forza Horizon and Need for Speed. With a game that's made using the Unreal Engine 5 and an interface, you might have noticed it, Think here too of a mix between Forza Horizon and Need for Speed, with a somewhat mobile interface. You know, the kind that moves depending on whether you're accelerating or not, at that moment, which reminds you of Need for Speed.
In the Riviera and,
Some elements that remind you of Forza Horizon, especially, you may have noticed, the skill system. Skill points.
Is completely obsessed with.
So here we are. We're still in the game's introduction. And honestly, these don't feel like real missions as time goes on. You see what I mean without any cuts? It feels like the start of the game, though there are still some intense cuts at times. I'm not sure if it's a full uninterrupted hour of gameplay, or if the developers selected certain parts to show. I still think this is just the start of the game. More or less? Since, here we're going to see, I think, the famous R1K race, where the whole story of the game is going to shift a bit. And that's when we're really, going to start. You should know that Theo and his sister, are well-known drivers in this championship and are considered to be part of the elite, among the best drivers. Quite simply, for all the cutscenes, all the actors, it's motion capture. That's why we have pretty clean animations compared to the character animations in Forza Horizon, where there actually aren't any. They're just like Playmobil figures with arms that move. Here, we have motion capture, and we have, real actors, although I can't remember their names. But I think for the two main characters, I believe they're French actors. And they did the motion capture.
And you lack proper commitment on the phone.
So I assume the game will be dubbed in French since it's set in France. That's all. We don't have much information yet.
Any advice for me?
On the subject,
And
and I think we'll find out more soon about the story of the game.
well, right now.
It's going to be pretty clean, right? Visually, let me know what you think in the comments. But I like the art direction. It's true that sometimes you can recognize a bit of the art style. Well, how should I put it? The graphical rendering of Unreal Engine 5, which is quite unique.
Each of the R1K.
But I think the art direction is cool. It's pretty clean, pretty neutral. It kind of reminds me of the art direction in Forza Horizon 2.
Narrative team. So we spent.
And, I have to admit that I really like it with this really sunny light, ultra white, ultra bright. I don't know what car they're overtaking there. I recognize the Porsche. I also remember there were Lamborghinis on the starting grid. But as for the other cars, like the one just in front there, I have no idea what it actually is. The game, as I was explaining, will be split into two parts. A bit like Need for Speed Heat. So we'll have, then, on one side, illegal races during the day and illegal races at night, and a progression system that's somewhat similar, where I think you can basically earn reputation during the day and money at night. If I'm not mistaken, something like that, I think that's already been more or less confirmed. It's true that it looks pretty good, right? Honestly, the driving, at first glance, when I see it like this, I find it pretty nice. There you go, the little M539 overtaking with the big Elron. Here, I don't know if they're really going to show the customization phases in this gameplay. Like the phases where they're in the garage selecting the different parts for their car. I'd really like that. Anyway, the developers said in this gameplay, since I didn't watch everything, just some parts, It's a sports broadcast. They explained at the end of the live stream that they're actually going to do pretty much the same thing as they did for the communication around Forza Horizon 5. That is, they're going to do several live streams like this one, where they'll show a lot of things about the game and where they'll really show, Some live streams will be dedicated to certain parts of the game. For example, a live stream about the customizations, a live stream about the open world, a live stream about the car list, for example. So there's a lot to cover. So this is the accident. This is the day when everything changed. With a little story, the start of a little story that reminds you a bit of Tokarev's Driver. So, for those who followed the first Tokus back then, it's the same. There was a race like that with a story about a bit of car sabotage or driving. Let's say that someone deliberately caused a collision, resulting in the death of one of the drivers. And here, that's what happened. I think it's going to be explained. Now we're going to see what happened afterwards, as always. The beginning of the game with the famous press conference, which had already been shown a little bit in the gameplay.
Yes, but lose. It's those who are left behind who lose the most. If the R1K cannot be made safer, I will drive a stake through its heart. Because this race cannot and will not be allowed to ever hurt another driver. Not under my tenure. We have 2 drivers dead, sir.
That's it. 2 drivers are dead.
3 more in intensive care.
A driver who was injured. Understand that the R1K is historic. It's its 100th year.
I understand the R1K is historic. It's the 100th year.
I'm going to talk a little less. I'm listening to what he's saying.
Automated driving systems are now fully capable of... Automated driving systems are now fully capable of. You're talking about AI? Letting computers drive the cars instead of...
People? No.
I think...
That's it. If I understood everything correctly, the whole story, so let's see.
Traction control, brake assists, collision detection. We use automated systems in commercial vehicles because we care about the safety of our... And if the theme...
I'm sorry. I'm a little bit hyped about this thing. I hope the volume will be loud enough on the final video that I'm going to post for you.
Given your history...
But I think basically the story of the game is going to be centered on...
That's what makes me biased to keep my drivers alive.
On the R1K Championship, which is shifting because basically it's being revealed that Miko might not be dead. If I understood correctly. That if it's not possible to continue the championship safely for all the drivers, they're considering stopping the championship. I'm not sure I understood everything because I was listening to others while doing the commentary. So I think the main story of the game is going to be, I think, Theo, our main character, who will try to understand a bit about what happened in this accident that doesn't seem completely normal, and who will also be contacted. I won't spoil that for you. They showed it right from the first announcement cutscenes of the game. He will be contacted by some kind of external organization that wants to use Theo for his sabotage skills to repurpose him, so that he simply becomes a driver to carry out various misdeeds, like car thefts, for example. There you go. That's the map. Tomorrow, we'll wait and see. We'll see how it turns out, but the map looks huge. They only showed the Monaco area in the map's bottom right. Monaco alone covers a few square kilometers. We know it's not just Monaco. Saint-Tropez and several other French cities are also confirmed for the map. And you saw it. When it zoomed out, we quickly saw there was a highway. There were obviously quite a few roads. Smaller secondary roads with a lot of nature, a lot of forests. It's really, really, really cool.
The lighting system in this game, we spent a long time really making it sing, so we're making use of...
I noticed the car sometimes uses its turn signals. I feel like they turn on. We'll discuss this again later in the video, but the developers confirmed it during this live stream. It will be possible for us to activate the turn signals ourselves and manage quite a few elements of the car in a kind of roleplay way.
And it's just been amazing.
Because, well, either for RP, exactly, it's awesome. Or also because you can use these blinkers, for example, To fake out and make the police believe, for example, when you're in a chase that you're going one way, when actually you're not going that way. See? I see there are quite a few people on the roads, though. On the cars, huh? Quite a lot of traffic for a small road. So I don't know if it'll be the same on the highways, whether there'll be more of it, or maybe a bit less in the city, that kind of thing. But there's a lot of traffic on the roads, with some nice cars too. I think the traffic cars are more detailed than the traffic cars in Forza Horizon, for example. Knowing that all the cars, and maybe that's what explains it, all the cars you see here in traffic, all these cars are also available for the player as playable cars. So that's also why they have a very high level of detail. It's because, well, they're regular cars. I noticed the minimap has a road discovery feature. Roads turn white as the character moves, similar to Forza Horizon. There might be a teleportation system that will allow you to do like in Forza Horizon, teleport to a place you've already visited. In any case, I think it really looks great. Just imagine it without the slight blur you get from YouTube, or because it's downloaded gameplay. And it's still pretty beautiful. I think the atmosphere is actually really nice. It looks natural, but at the same time it has a slightly artistic touch. They've found a balance somewhere between Forza Horizon 4 and Horizon 5, but I think it's pretty cool.
So now,
I think this is still early in the game, in the sense that we know that on the mini-map, there will be quite a lot of activities, there will be some random events and all that. And right now, nothing is happening. By the way, we could see a clutch cache on the mini-maps. So I think those are collectibles that we'll be able to pick up as we explore the map, either money, XP, things like that. Yes, we just saw it. There are 790 routes on the map. There will obviously be a lot of them in Monaco. Since it's a city with lots of narrow streets, there will probably be several hundred routes just in Monaco. But there will probably also be a lot of other routes elsewhere, since the map is very big.
so that
I'm not sure, so let's wait and see what happens. I don't want to spoil it for you. But actually, we have a house. That's going to be our main HQ, I think, with the little house logo on the minimap. I don't know. If in this video they show other houses, I don't know if we'll be able to do something like in Test Drive and buy other houses. And to be able to, let's say, do pretty much whatever we want with it and have a somewhat organized garage. Maybe those are things they're going to show.
yeah.
We'll see that in just a moment. As I said, the developers talked a lot. They're saying quite a few things.
Those looking for you will assume you'll go left because that's what you do.
Insert generic driver joke. Driver joke here as well.
Just no 10 seconds.
Well,
If I ever miss any information in what he's saying, I'll give you a little summary later in a video with some bonus info. The main goal is really to do a little gameplay commentary on the game.
So this is actually a space you'll be able to explore on foot as well. So this is a space where you're basically...
He just said that, but it was already confirmed to me in an earlier video. We'll be able to get out of the cars. To explore different areas on foot, like literally on foot,
in place.
just by walking around, like in a GTA game. But yes, we are, the way it was explained.
And basically, after the events of what just happened, the family is getting together to discuss.
I feel like, we won't be able to go everywhere on the map. We'll only be able to go out on foot in certain areas.
Hey, Theo. They just sent their new guidelines.
I know where this ends. Empty cars, no drivers.
No, maybe you should just file a complaint.
When a plane crashes, they don't ban pilots. Racing is about courage. It's about risk. The very thing that...
That's right. It's actually about replacing human drivers with AI drivers in the R1K Championship. That's what caused a bit of a scandal during the press conference we saw earlier.
About something like the press, having a routine is probably healthy.
I'm done. For the rest of the year at least, maybe longer. See you later.
You have to have a contract, you have promotions, so you stay. We have to keep the sport alive.
If Mika's dead, Dad, I'm done.
He died.
You lived. That's definitely something else. In terms of cinematics, than what we have in Forza Horizon.
The Marshal Celeste legacy will not be that we walked away and let our sport die.
I don't care about that. No, chill.
That's basically the main point of the story.
Get out.
Get out.
Out!
It's not his house. It's the family home, if I understood right. Basically, if I understood correctly, he's ready to quit the championship, but his entourage doesn't want that. He just wants to keep fighting and simply be a driver. As we said, sometimes. Quietly, little Portia. That's cool. Honestly, the story aspect is cool. It's cool, and it actually seems to be more... Well, it's true that Need for Speed was one of the last games to actually offer a story. You're a racing game.
You actually saw a really nice bit of performance there.
But you have to admit, ever since Need for Speed, honestly, well, actually, always, but Need for Speed has always had stories that are a little bit...
An incredible performance in this...
Not necessarily cringe, but there are still a few moments that can be cool. But it's been like that for a while, though. The story's been super simple. Take Unbound, for example. The story quality is awful. Nothing happens, the characters are flat, uninteresting. Here, it's true that having the family and a bit more at stake. Well, it makes things more realistic, actually. More believable, and it seems more interesting, I think. So we're going to alternate a little bit. Actually, I don't really know yet how the game is going to play out. I think it's mostly going to be a narrative game in the sense that we'll be doing a lot of races and challenges.
And you just do challenges.
Let's say the main one, the one that's really about the main story quest. Like, for example, what we're doing right now. The objective here is to chase Cass. I think it's part of the main objectives and things we just can't skip. I think there will also be some free side activities. That we can do a little whenever we want to earn money and XP. So, as you just saw, there are indeed activities in the open world, a bit like in Forza Horizon.
Basically, the biggest hiccup.
For example, we're going to have speed traps. Speed zones, activities, that will trigger somewhat randomly when you pass through certain areas on the map. And I think there are also, if I'm not mistaken, jump challenges, a bit like the danger signs.
So she was...
And as for the driving, don't forget that. So, about the driving, it's true that there was something that bothered me a little in the short clips I had already seen before this gameplay, before sharing it with you. The physics seem pretty cool overall, except for the whole grappling hook thing, and we'll talk about that later. Because in the end, with this gameplay, there are more explanations about the grappling hook that make it a bit more...
She's got
a bit more acceptable. We'll get used to it. But the handling seems to be cool. Overall, the only thing I don't really like so far about this handling is its look, at least aesthetically. It's just that the sensation of speed still seems to be pretty low. The car appears slightly farther on screen when you accelerate or drive fast. Remember, we're using miles. 110 miles per hour is roughly 170 kilometers per hour. Even a bit more than that. I don't really feel like I'm driving at 170. But then again, maybe it would be different if I had the game on my side.
And if I was playing it...
Little car meet, that's cool.
A mere-based area, Corinne, that we were racing through in the...
Intro.
So there you have it, the unofficial races. The famous car meets. They take place at gas stations just like we would have. That's actually pretty cool.
And you're the podcaster. I recognize your voice.
Whoa, and you really listen to my show. You're not gonna kill me, are you? Too many witnesses.
Too many witnesses. We do make some good points, though.
So the game really looks good in the cutscenes, at least. Outside too, but it's true that in the cutscenes, the art direction with the reflections on the cars and everything is really super stylish.
Wow. She gets something here she doesn't there. Hey, Marshall. Wanna try?
The little M3 and fake Most Wanted mode is pretty funny. You'll see what they've done. They took an M3 with the kit from the GTR from Most Wanted, but they switched the colors. That means the part that's usually gray is blue here, and vice versa. We're going to be able to buy cars? Okay, that's cool. We might finally have a car buying system. Wow, Carrera GT in the back? Pwah! There will still be supercars. Okay, there will be supercars. There's a Viper in the background too.
Upon this himself. But this is...
Now we have 1 million credits, what the fuck? So I think it's just to start the game, we have a pretty crazy amount.
For the Midnight Collective. This is another space like the villa we discussed earlier, where you also get to
I doubt we'll have that much money in the game when we start.
expect and look at all of these wonderful cars. This is a space where you'll see lots of customized cars, you'll see lots of other people's designs and builds here. And another great thing about Unreal here is that thanks to the nanite stuff, we get to show all these cars at a ridiculous level of quality all the time. So all of the stuff that you've...
As long as the cars look great, and you can move around on foot. Even if some people will say that it has nothing to do in a racing game, I still think it's really, really cool.
That's true for all the cars. Give us a few minutes, Andy. Tell us more so we can better understand what's happening. Right now, we're in this situation. When you buy a newer car, there's a car meet. Dealerships you can visit worldwide. That's a newer release. So there are...
In this game, when you're buying a newer car, there'll be car dealerships that you can visit in the world. So if it's a more recent release, there are...
Luxury dealerships. So, I'm listening a bit to what they're saying, and they've confirmed that there are several places where you can buy cars in the open world.
When you revisit various car meets worldwide, that's how you'll collect all the cars, like the RX.
The cars are beautiful.
And I think, to Ben's point, it's worth mentioning, all of these cars that look like background, all of them are the exact same high fidelity as the player cars. Before you hit that, before you do that, let's do some of these questions. Otherwise, we're not going to get a chance. So let's take a look at what we got here. There's one about camera angles. So I guess when you're in the race, Andy, if you can just show, okay.
There is. I think that by commenting like this, we're actually going to miss some pretty important information in my opinion. I'm going to make a second video over the weekend in which we'll debrief exactly what was confirmed there.
Was confirmed there
In the developer's chatter.
Where you are behind a build of a car, and the sense of speed is incredibly important. I think you're getting a sense of that as you see it here. There's so many actual elements to that in the...
But actually, since it was a live event, they broadcast the gameplay live and also answered questions from the chat, so there will probably be some information to pick up afterwards. So, it's quite possible that I'll confirm more info about Clutch for you. Maybe today in a video, maybe tomorrow in a video. We'll see. It depends a bit. I think it's going to take a little time to debrief this whole video. Because right now, just so you know, we're about halfway through the gameplay. We still have about 40 minutes left to see about the game. So, there might be some moments like this where there isn't necessarily a lot of new information, but there will also be times where there will be a lot of new information. I just noticed a small detail on the Ford Focus in the background. A Skyline sticker on it. It's entirely possible that the cars, well, right now, we know they're licensed. But it's also possible that the car customization brands and the brands for car upgrade parts are also licensed. A silly little detail, but it's true that seeing French license plates on race cars in a game is pretty unusual. You don't see it often, and it's actually pretty cool. It immediately makes it feel a bit more RP, you know? It's pretty nice.
And the car itself is pretty customized too.
They also explained that all the cars you see in the open world are actually all playable models as well, but that every car in the open world has exactly the same level of detail as the player's main car. So that's also why we have such high quality on all the cars that appear on screen.
Gameplay cameras as well.
Cuba.
We've spent a lot of time replicating certain qualities you get from specific pieces.
That's why we have cars with such a high level of detail, and I'm listening a little to what it's saying at the same time. It's Midnight Collective. You just reminded me of the night racing group's name.
Cars come from a TV screen. It was cut by a piece of glass. It's a replica. Those qualities and getting all those subtle imperfections like the certain barrel distortion, bits of chromatic aberration, getting all of those right and mimicking something true to life was really important, so that was a big thing that we did. There are other things too, but I bet some of our tech guys would freak out if I mentioned them.
I hope they won't stay here for 45 minutes either. But anyway, it's a place that confirms we really do have a money management system. There's also an XP system, since we saw the character was level 1.
The work we've done there, but...
And it also reminds us that there will be several places where we can buy garages, and several places where we can buy cars on the map. Maybe customizations, not customizations, sorry, more official dealerships too. Because right now, it's true that it's a car meet, so it feels a bit strange to go to a car meet to buy cars. But we can assume that there will probably be some more official dealerships that look more like what we see in real life. Let's do a race. All
right, so we're about to jump into the very first of our Midnight Collective street races. The way that these work, which is kind of distinct from the R1K, where in the R1K, it's all about finishing position. It's all about kind of finding the perfect line. I'm
telling them that race progression in the Midnight Collective differs from the R1K.
It's still about driving fast. It's still a race, but ultimately it's the person who has the most viewers who is...
Okay, that's it. I already understood that from watching the gameplay, especially in the R1K races of the official championship. What matters is only your finishing position, whereas here, in these races, what matters is actually what earns you points and what allows you to progress more or less quickly. It's actually going to be the amount of followers and likes you get during the race. Actually, yes, winning will get you followers. But driving with a bit of style, drifting, putting on a bit of a show, will get you followers too. Because actually, if I understood correctly, all the races we're going to do in this thing, they're mostly streamed or at least shared on social media. That's why at the bottom right, you'll see a small chat appear. It's not the multi-chat, just a fake chat. Damn. Nice interior view. Let's check it out. Too bad they didn't let Ta-on come for long. She seemed to be a bit stiff.
The interior driving, though,
shows some of the different cameras. I would have liked to see more of the driving from the FPS view. In FPS view, it did feel a bit stiff. And maybe a little less detailed than the outside of the cars. But well, we'll see. Indeed, everything you're going to do in races like this, like drifting, slipstreaming, jumping, doing stylish moves, that will get you more followers, which will ultimately determine your final position. It's going to be the number of followers you've gained. For example, you could finish 5th, let's say, in terms of race position. But if you really scored big, did some crazy stuff, well, you could still finish 1st thanks to the scores you achieved. And something pretty cool I saw in the in-game chat, there was a system where viewers, people who follow you on social media, can actually make donations to you. For example here, someone gave 49. So I guess there's a way to make a little extra money at the end of the month with this kind of event. By doing cool stuff and living off donations from viewers. By the way, don't hesitate to leave a like on this video. Subscribe for the next ones and come follow me on Twitch for upcoming live streams, because obviously, well, we'll be playing Clutch live as soon as possible. So come follow, come use your Prime, don't hesitate. Also, don't hesitate to use my online link that you'll find below this video in the description and in the comments below. It'll let you buy your games for cheaper while giving a little support to my channel at the same time. And then that's it, just like in the game.
And
support the channel.
Wouldn't it be nice if we...
And to your likes and everything that goes with it. Indeed, if I understood correctly, there is a skill system.
Answers, which are a little bit old, because...
I'm not sure how it works, and there's an overdrive system too.
I have to lock it. What is it?
What is that?
And he has entered overdrive mode. That's Ben.
They're actually going to talk about it.
A man so much. He's clicked both sticks together, which kicks off overdrive mode, which gives him a multiplier on all of the scrolls he picks up, while so then...
I'm not sure I completely understand the point of this prowess point system, but basically, from what I gather, you fill up a gauge by performing feats. You earn points.
Closer, Andy.
And once the gauge is full, instead, it gives us a skill point, just like it would in Forza Horizon when the gauge is full. Here, you can activate overdrive mode by pressing both sticks on the controller at the same time, by clicking both sticks at the same time. And in this overdrive mode, the screen gets a bit purplish, and all the points you score during overdrive are doubled. So, I don't know, maybe at the end of an event the points turn into money or XP. Damn. The interior view, you can tell they designed it to emphasize the sense of speed. I think they haven't finished developing them yet.
So we'll have to wait.
We'll see later, but that's generally the effect. There was some car damage too, I don't know if you noticed. I won't go back since it would make filming too complicated. There's some front-end damage on the car. Don't expect Wreckfest level destruction, but there are scratches, minor body deformations similar to Ford Horizon, and a few cool details. Did you also notice something similar on the back of the Audi?
It is worth mentioning. We actually...
Let's take a look at that.
It's a big thing that we spend from the Audi. Wait, look at that. Okay.
So, here. This is the money we earn. The fact that the race is completed, plus the little bonuses. Okay? And so, next to that, we have the XP.
Which is currently displayed on this cabinet, which lives in the XP apartment.
And money seems to be connected. I feel like we earn the same amounts, right?
Being shown in a way that...
So what do we gain when we develop it? It will be indicated. Press
the button, because I've told him.
I don't know. There's a little Easter egg. There's an arcade game that's included in the game. In my opinion, if you press the square button, you play Turbo Boy. It should launch a little arcade game since we're on an arcade machine. At the end of the challenges, when it counts our money and our XP, there must be little Easter eggs like that. Maybe references to old arcade games. It's pretty cool. So there you go. I'm not really sure I understood how the skill system works because it doesn't seem like it really gave me anything special. Hold on. Let's move forward.
Bora.
Let's move forward. Let's go. There we go.
They took the opportunity and made a small cut to move us to another game section, I think.
To teleport us, Theo, while he's going through Monaco Beach. And Theo is over there. A rich guy, I say. It looks like it's huge.
Right. It looks beautiful. And you'll notice that as the gameplay continues. And as the panoramas are shown, I think you'll see there are pedestrians. And the pedestrians are everywhere. You see, they're walking, they're moving, they're doing things. They're not just static pedestrians.
Yes.
I think we're approaching a part of the game we've probably seen in other gameplay footage.
Yes.
This is the section, let's say, where Theo is going to move from the world of legal and fully authorized racing to the world of missions that are, let's say, much less legal.
Please try to look like you're having fun, Theo.
I'm not having fun. This is serious.
Yes.
To the world of pique their curiosity. And the fact that you secretly sought me out means you don't want them to be piqued, do you?
So smile.
It looks pretty good, huh? I understand that you stole the car of Peter Dunn, the head of the RIC. He's a vindictive sort, and will inevitably find a way to disqualify you and your team from the Riviera 1K, unless, of course, I ask him not to.
And why would he listen to you?
Because I have leverage. A real-life lifesaver when it comes to attends.
But the story is more complicated than we think, actually. And right now she's explaining that basically she can have him disqualified from the R1K championship.
How much?
People don't pay me in money.
Yes, basically if they refuse to cooperate.
They pay me with their time. For an hour of yours, I'll throttle your little problem of cooperating.
Basically, I think that doing some slightly illegal missions and all, we won't really have a choice but to do them. You see what I mean? I think the character will be forced to do them or risk being disqualified.
I think you are right now.
My parents. Lady, I'm a grown-ass man.
Of course you are.
The car is outside. Shall we start the clock? Basically, that's the deal. I think she has the object to do missions for her because she knows she drives well. And in exchange for her driving talent, she's going to agree to it.
And if you could just drop the feed.
To say positive things about him so he doesn't get, disqualified. So let's move forward a bit. It's the same because anyway, we're going to be on a mission that you may have already seen in my, other YouTube videos. A mission that will take place in Monaco. It's a really great mission to show, I think, because it really shows, Monaco in its finest details. And it shows the pretty incredible work that was done to create the world, because it's very beautiful, even if it's maybe less lively than in real life. That's always the challenge with games, you know. Making games feel alive is always complicated. There are still pedestrians, there are still cars, there are iconic places. It's really the same streets as in real Monaco. Actually, they did a bit like in Test Drive on that point. They really recreated it. And this one, yet another one, a little bit bigger. Actually, in the game, they added sections, let's say, really dedicated to cars, all the streets and everything. Everything is really like in real life, right? And there's the Twingo, guys. You have no idea how much I want to buy one and put 4,000 horsepower in it in the game. First thing I'll do on Clutch is buy a Twingo once I have cash and do something wild with it. There are iconic places in Monaco that have been fully recreated in the game, and it's truly beautiful, right? It's a shame more games aren't set in France. Though, Monaco isn't really France, as we can agree. Destructible environment. I just confirmed it. I hadn't noticed before. We can break small barriers, like in Forza Horizon. I think we'll be able to break things so we aren't too blocked. Yeah, there are a lot of connections on the roads. You come across a lot of them.
Which is kind of the main urban location.
To the point where you'll have to be a bit careful while driving, I think.
But this is certainly the largest. And yes.
The driving is clearly inspired by Forza Horizon and made by its developers, but it's uncertain if it'll match Forza Horizon exactly. The developers said there are still issues to fix, and this is just a preview version.
As I can attest to on one of our, which is
still in development. You can see that the AIs don't always have the right paths, they don't always have the right effects, that kind of thing. I think since the start of the mission, we've already seen 3 or 4 collisions between the AIs.
Every road
Real ones.
in Monaco is represented. All of the key buildings, key landmarks will appear. And on the subject of buildings, I think it's worth noting as well that basically every single building that we should have in Monaco has been built uniquely. This isn't a case that they're...
I'm listening to what he's saying. He's giving details about the modernization of the city of Monaco. He's explaining that,
The environment team here has all the
well-known buildings in Monaco have been renovated.
like a real place.
Let's say really in the same way, there's a game that's identical. Everything is modeled, the well-known places, all the specific spots in Monaco. And for everything else, he explained that 100 of the buildings on the map were modeled in a unique way. There will be no reuse, unlike in some other games, though that's becoming less common. Less and less where? There's almost no reuse. That means you won't find a building that's just copy-pasted somewhere else in the city. So, that's really, really, really cool. For immersion, it makes things feel more realistic. So this is the famous mission that we've already seen a little bit, and that I had already shared with you a bit. I'm not sure if other underground parking lots will be available in the open world, but I think they're cool for meetups. Let me remind you that the game will be playable solo, of course, and it will also be playable in co-op. So here, you'll be able to play as a duo, and one person will play as Theo, one person will play as Cass, and the game will also be playable in PvP. And there will be 16 people per server, 16 people per convoy if I'm not mistaken, maximum.
Customize? Yeah, something I kind of tasked
Andy with, and Andy, you can blame Andy if you're unhappy with the customer base options, by the way. But something I kind of tasked Andy with was to really try and explore the communities and car culture around each individual car and find the things that a fan of a specific car.
I'm not talking about customization, but
I think in the interest of perhaps economics, the alternate choice would be we should choose options that can appear on as many cars as possible. We've actually not done that. A lot of our customization options are car specific. They might only appear on one car or maybe one manufacturer.
okay, they are actually explaining something.
What I actually really love about that is when you do get a new car, there is a little bit of a discovery when you go and have a look in there and see what options are available for that particular car.
They explained that basically, they didn't want, they didn't say it like this, but I'll sum it up this way. They don't want the Forza Horizon syndrome when it comes to the cars in this game, meaning they don't want, they just don't want that. They don't want us switching cars like changing shirts. They want us to feel somewhat attached to our cars.
They
explained that for that,
we can see there is a security car, which is perfect.
The customization of the cars was designed so that each part would be unique for each car. Basically, there will be very little parts reused between cars, which is really cool. I also noticed on the minimap that patrol cars appear in this kind of semi-scripted mission. There will be a bit of a stealth aspect.
As far as Benjamin goes.
Stealth with cars, I think that's something we've never really seen before, or maybe never seen, or maybe I've rarely seen that. Of course, tailing missions require discretion, but where you really have to be stealthy.
And you'll use that to kind of end a pursuit when
It's still pretty rare though.
Kind of sight they can't see anymore. You can hide in your car, and that kind of ends the pursuit phase. So you've got that kind of satisfying way to kind of kill it.
The physics, it seems like that's what I wanted to come back to earlier. It's true that I got cut off because I was listening to the others all the time. But it still seems pretty clean, right? It looks like Racing 4, you know? There's a good driving feel that's going to be a bit like Need for Speed, and also like Forza meets Need for Speed. From what we can tell, the cars don't have drag to drift or anything completely broken like that. And, actually, sometimes, maybe there's a slightly more arcade feel for drifting, where we could see the cars drifting pretty easily, but still not drag to drift. You see, it's kind of a compromise between the two.
Question that says, what do you mean when you call Clutch a driving game instead of a racing game? What do you mean? Well, as you can see, the game does feature racing. But the reason I do this is because I feel like when you say racing, it narrows your vision on what the game can be, because racing is one type of car-based experience. But as soon as you remove racing, that opens that up now. And the possibility of what this game could be expands. So rather than being just a racing game, it's a driving game, and anything being just a racing game, it's a driving game, and anything that you might... In fact, I have a question when I see this game. It looks like a real banger, and I wonder who messed up Forza.
Horizon 5. Because actually, let me remind you that this game, maybe you don't know, it's true that I haven't specified it since the beginning of
this video,
but it's developed by former developers of Forza Horizon who left who left the Forza Horizon studio. Playground Games, a few months after the release of Forza Horizon 5. Like the person, well, you can't see him right now, but it's true. The person who talks the most during this interview. It's Mike Brown. He really used to be a major figure from Playground Games. And, actually, at the time, we were kind of wondering what happened. How did Forza Horizon 5 become such a cringe, childish game and everything that comes with it? And we thought, since the studio split into 3 studios, so there's Playground Games, there's Maverick, which presents Clutch, and there's Lighter Studios, which is another studio founded by former developers of Forza Horizon 5, for example. We all wondered, maybe one of the 3 upcoming games from these 3 studios, is going to be super cringe and will reveal to us who wanted this artistic direction for Forza Horizon 5. And for now, the reality is that, well, Playground Games released Horizon 6, which is probably the best Forza Horizon, and also probably the least cringe Forza Horizon we've seen in years. Maverick Games, created by Mike Brown, is extremely serious and innovative, featuring many things rarely seen before in video games. For example, just being able to get out of the cars, interact with the open world like that, and walk around a bit freely is something we usually haven't seen. And the game isn't cringe, and the game is pretty serious, so it's not them. So we'll see. Maybe Lighter Studios' game was the one where the team wanted the game to become very childish, and maybe we'll end up with a super arcade game, but they seem to say no. So, it's funny, because in the end, splitting this studio into 3, so that each one could make their own vision, let's say, of a racing game, let's say open world in their own way. At first glance, it will give 3 different games, but 3 games that really have a lot of potential, actually. You see what I mean?
Talk about on foot, and if you just
So the little on-foot phase, as they explained, there will be parts where you can get out and walk. There will be areas where you can explore everything on foot, and others where you can't at all. They also explained, by the way, that there's a bit of controversy about the artworks that are on the walls of the villa. Because, you see, there are lots of little drawings and all that. Some people said that they used AI for those pictures, but actually they explained that no, absolutely not. It wasn't AI at all. That all the artworks, all the paintings we would see in the game, were paintings that had been made either directly by members of the Maverick studio or by family members of the studio's team.
From Maverick, so there are...
Either made by family members, members of the Maverick studio. No, there's no AI. Even the on-foot sequences are beautiful. I think...
Antonelle's apartment, learn a little bit more about her.
I don't know if we can sprint. I don't know if we can do anything else besides just walking like this.
But the truth is, we don't actually spend much time on foot in this game. I just wanted to mention it because we had those 2 close moments here. Mais en fait, ça n'arrive pas si souvent que ça. Right, let's see what's through this door.
Let's go see the famous mission.
Torture room. Oi! Have you got me stealing from the fucking mafia?
Try to keep your head, Theo.
Is that what you said to the last guy that did you a favor?
Relax. This won't trace back to you. Just get to the car.
I didn't understand who we were, but what I did understand is that we came to steal the
Not to rush you, but looks like security on.
the Valhalla. You've got that style, like rich people's decor, you know? The hanging Porsche. Above the Valhalla.
That car.
And from there, well, it's going to be gameplay we've never seen before. Since the first gameplay sequences showed this little phase, let's say, inspecting the garage, inspecting the house on foot, and starting up the Valhalla, but we hadn't seen more than that. See?
You better find another way.
There isn't one. He'll be here any second. There's a road on the hill across the valley. With enough speed, you'll make it. The mafia. Don't mess around. You are going off that route.
Yes. Okay, so it's an apartment. I just heard they're in apparently a house that's owned by someone from the local mafia.
The real thing Emery wanted was the harpoon. The car was just the happy meal toy.
And so, the famous harpoon.
But what she really wanted was this experimental clutch tech. That's a good Happy Meal toy.
Well, it's true that when you see this, ha 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 ha, the realistic side kind of goes out the window because here, clearly, Valhalla would be completely folded on the ground. But on the other hand, well, if we start wanting to make a game that's too realistic, we also close off a lot of doors in terms of story, in terms of possibilities, and narration, obviously.
There's a bit of noise.
A little bit of gameplay with Valhalla. That's cool.
Ourselves in a high-speed pursuit.
They're letting us hear the active arrow sounds, like the spoiler deploying during braking.
And the wind.
The headlight washer that lights up underneath is pretty cool. It's true that the car is very detailed, at least on the outside, As for the inside, we haven't really seen much of it.
It's always chaotic gameplay, because in this kind of game, that's where it's more fun, when you have your feet on the ground. Oh, everybody, so...
I noticed something too.
That's the better outcome than the...
When I see the police cars, sometimes they're French and sometimes Italian. So, I'm not sure if the game's map will go to the Italian border, which would be pretty cool. So that's it, actually. That's the thing that's causing controversy about this game. It's the use of the harpoon.
So what we saw there was kind of...
Maybe we'll talk about it.
Reasonable. So Andy's got the harpoon attached at the parlor. Yeah, you could use it if you want, mate. I'll get it on, I'll get the next one. How about you could use it if you want, mate? Accord. Now, Andy, use it now, but use it. Better use the thing with ammo in it. So at this point, Andy can point that anywhere. He has free aim, and he can aim at anything he wants. That's what they explained.
It's the harpoon. So, actually, the harpoon will mainly be used during missions to accomplish objectives, like grabbing police cars, helicopters, causing accidents from a distance to try to shake off the police, for example. And in the open world, the harpoon would be more of an exploration tool, actually. The harpoon, in fact, will have free aim. So it can either, let's say, not activate, but aim automatically, and you can activate it if you want, specifically for those missions. Or in the open world, you can activate it however you like to aim wherever you want. And apparently, it would be used to access certain places that you can't really reach just by driving. Or to collect certain items. In principle, it won't be invasive. If you prefer RP mode and don't want to use it in the open world, that's possible. And for those who want to, let's say, use it, you'll be able to as well. So it's a feature, let's say, a bit of a bonus. Since the developers have confirmed there will be several other accessories in the game. Driving accessories like this that allow, how can I say this basically? To change the gameplay a bit. I think they confirmed, let me think. I think they confirmed oil slicks. Kind of like James Bond, you know? To make the cars that were ours slide.
Once things have calmed down, we'll take you home.
A jump system to get over police barricades and jet boosters. So basically a kind of more or less temporary nitro. And there's also nitro in the game. Yeah, but here, it would be another nitro system. So here they showed you the end of mission screen, and the following cutscene.
Yes, it's a cool touch.
Yep, there was a question there about economy, which I think was attached to that. So yeah, when we pause it, you may have seen the player wallet. We've debugged a load of cache, because that is not the amount of money that you would have at this point in the game.
There you go. They're actually explaining that right now.
We are intending that you kind of build a connection with the car that you drive, that you can really have a real sense of ownership, and, okay, they are...
Explaining that, indeed, the money we saw earlier in the character's bank account was a very large amount, and that it wouldn't actually be the real amount we would have in the game at this stage. So earlier when they said 1 million to buy the first car, that won't happen for us.
Really, is you're kind of getting to really know the car.
And here too, in this desire to avoid the Forza Horizon syndrome we talked about earlier, the game's economy will be relatively slow. That's what he seems to be explaining, meaning we'll have enough money to regularly buy cars, but each time there will be a bit of time between each new car, so we actually have time to customize each car we have in the garage and simply get attached to them and drive them.
And that's interesting in the sense that the people really have good character, and I think you're really going to enjoy spending some time with them. Okay, we've got one from live chat. What languages will be supported in the game? Why did you pull that bloody question through? We have got English for sure. We definitely have French, German.
Italian. So the game will be in French, German, Italian, and English.
More as well, I'm sure.
And probably many other languages, but at least French is confirmed. But after that, it seems logical to me since the game is set in France. It would have been crazy not to have French.
So will the game have adjustable assist and accessibility settings? And how deep will it go? So he just put under the message over the bloody, I've got some new people up in this today. So accessibility and assist settings? Yes, so you will be able to customize all of those. Exactly how we ship this, we haven't actually decided. So the current setup of it is each car you get kind of behaves like that car would behave in real life. So if it's a car that would have had traction control turned on by default, then it is. If it's a car that wouldn't have that because it didn't exist when that car was made.
So now they're explaining another thing that's pretty cool. They're saying that the driving assist for each car will depend.
Kind of authentic to those cars, but...
Real driving aids for the car. So they're explaining that, for example, an old BMW like the one we saw earlier, the 507, these are cars from a previous era, Cars that obviously weren't originally equipped with electronics like traction control, stability control, and all that. And they explained that basically, on these cars, the driving aids could actually be enabled if you wanted on any car, but by default, a car that didn't have them in real life from that year wouldn't have them in the game either. If you want them, you'll need to activate them in the options menu or similar. I think that's pretty cool. There are also quite a few things. Can I do a shout out? If you
look at the TV, well, not the TV, but the poster next to the TV, the R1K one up there, that was done by my wife.
Is she watching? Yeah, she might be watching.
Yeah, lovely work, mate.
We'll clarify that the poster he used was actually made by his wife. But actually, there are quite a few things you can interact with. Now the question is, well, it's really optional, but can we customize the houses?
But there's a fun development story here. So,
can we have multiple houses?
Of this villa, it had a pool. And I was looking at that going, this is absolute hubris. How dumb are these guys for putting a pool on the side of the house? If there's a pool, it's an obvious player desire. Players just want to be able to walk in it. You can show the current implementation if you want, but it's not finished.
In some ways, that's how Turned Up Boy happened too. Right? We put an arcade cabinet in his house thinking this is a nice car.
Maybe not if we can. Well,
you'll have to make a game for that.
You can't just put out an arcade cabinet without a game on it.
We're not losing any magnets. We can walk in the water.
Clothes don't get wet. But I felt it was absolute hubris putting this next to the villa. An entirely optional thing. No one had forced them to do it. Once it's there, I need to walk the character in it. The clothes should get wet and leave wet footprints. Also, what happens when I bring the car in? You can do that too. By placing the pool on the side of the house, these guys end up creating a lot more work for themselves.
So, they explained that even though, well, I don't know if you can swim or not, they didn't talk about that, but they went so far as to make sure that when you go into the water with your character, their clothes get wet, and you leave wet footprints afterwards. It's a small detail, but still cool.
Of course, yeah, cool. Done.
There's a question here about clutch tech, so can we learn more about clutch tech? We won't reveal them all yet. There are 6 clutch techs. Obviously, we've just unlocked the harpoon. What I will say about them is...
There you go. Yeah, he's actually going to talk about what I told you earlier. I told you that I got a bit spoiled on some things, so I had already looked up some information. And he's going to talk specifically about the fact that we have several pieces of equipment on the car, like oil slicks, like temporary boosts, for example.
There's nothing magical. There are no superpowers there.
He's explaining that in any case, all the devices, all the equipment we'll have on the cars will never be game breakers, meaning they'll never be completely overpowered things. They'll always be balanced. Let's say at least somewhat realistic, even if the whole harpoon thing. Well, you know what I mean. Basically, what he's saying is that I don't think there's any question of ending up with, for example, flying cars like you might see in some GTR updates. I think that's more what he means, the whole harpoon thing. Well, you see, it can't be realistic. If you did that with a real car, the car would be wrecked. Or the harpoon would break loose. And it would be,
You're absolutely going to stack it up.
Impossible.
Ruin the moment for yourself. This results in a more satisfying outcome when you're under pressure, driving fast and wondering if you can pull it off. Then you press that button. When it works, you feel like a hero. When it doesn't work, that's still kind of funny. But then the moments are kind of not pre-canned. They are still physics-driven. It is, like I say, exists in the same world as our cars, and I would hope as well. There really are.
There are a lot of missions on the roads now, so Playground can no longer use the excuse that there are too many people. They can't justify having few people on the roads anymore.
And equally like any upgrade for the cars.
By, how can I say, performance optimization, because now the traffic cars are of much better quality and there are a lot more of them. So it's true that each engine has pros and cons, and Forza Tech might be especially complex. And maybe with Unreal Engine 5 it's very, very easy.
You build out your loadout.
In any case, I see that we're getting close to the end of the gameplay. Maybe there are some other little things that will be shown before the end of the video. But anyway, as I was saying, I'll give you a summary of everything that was announced verbally. I still wanted to show you an hour of gameplay because it's actually the first time I can do that with this game.
Be online co-op, 2 players.
In any case, I invite you to leave a like on this video to support my channel, and also to give the game some visibility, because what's a bit unfortunate is that actually this clutch gameplay that was shown yesterday kind of went unnoticed. Well, it did get some views on their side, but the communication about it was pretty low-key. I think it's a game that deserves more attention. I think it's a game,
I'm very proud of, but I'm going to save...
that deserves to have more space on the internet in general. Little speed zone there that just activated, by the way, just like in Forza. It's a game that really deserves as much attention as a Forza or a Need for Speed. And for now, it hasn't reached that level of recognition yet. I think it hasn't reached that scale yet. It's a shame for now, but that's normal since there's still a year to promote the game. It's a new title. It's the first Clutch game to come out. But it's a game that really deserves a lot of attention. There's a lot that has been done. Just look at the size of the map on the left. Damn, it's huge. It's a game that experiments, but it feels made by racing game fans who truly wanted to create one. That's the impression I get with Maverick, and with Maverick's game Clutch. It's seeing people who don't really want to change everything. They just got tired of seeing that when it comes to the biggest games in the genre, there's no desire at all to change things up anymore. So here I feel like they tried to find something like a balance between innovation and respecting what the players want, actually, in terms of an open-world racing game. And I think it feels, it's looking really promising. So remember to leave a like on this video for the algorithm. Remember to subscribe for upcoming videos because, obviously, when there's news about Clutch, I'll keep following the game, and with a bit of luck, I'll soon be able to show you my own gameplay footage of the game. Once again, remember to support my channel for free through all the ways you know and that I've already explained and demonstrated. Yeah, that's it, and promoted during this video. And I think the gameplay is about to come to an end. There should be about 5 minutes left.
We are a long, long way from release. This is, I think, for us and the games we might have shown you in...
Yes, that's true. He's discussing it now, and we might use that to end this video.
Or really, it may have all of that.
It's true that showing an hour of gameplay from a game a year before its release is something we're not used to seeing. Forza Horizon 5. Forza Horizon 6, we didn't see any gameplay until less than 2 months before release. And even then, we didn't get a full hour of combined gameplay, and especially not a real hour of the game like this where the developer is just driving around. Here you can tell they have confidence in their thing, they explained it, that's exactly what they're saying. That yes, there are still some little things that aren't right, there are still some small bugs, and things to fine-tune. They still have about a year left before the game is released. But they're confident enough in their project to show an hour like that live on YouTube. An hour of gameplay that's not pre-recorded gameplay. Here we see the person, well, you can't see them, but I can. The person sitting on the right who's doing the interview, they're playing the game while the people on the left are talking. And that's cool. If they're confident enough to show an hour like that live on YouTube without any cuts, well, it means they know they've made something solid.
Guys, I'm sure some of them are watching, so if you're watching, guys, well done, well done. That
Are watching, so if you're watching, guys, well done. Well,
that guy saying it looks good, he's speaking to you. What else have we got here? Why is the Fiat Multipla the greatest car of all time? The way we phrase this, which you'll see in an upcoming part, is the new question. I'm going to throw this one to Andy, actually. Come on, Andy. Why do you think the Fiat Multipla is the best car in the world? Tell me why it isn't the greatest. No, you can't dodge the question like that. No, hasn't it just become the most legendary meme of Maverick?
They're trolling a bit here. Actually, they're explaining why they put the Fiat Multipla in the game. Because indeed, the Fiat Multipla is playable and we'll be able to customize it. And they're simply explaining they did that because they know it's a car. A good car. A meme car. There you go. A meme car. And also...
It was probably the most Maverick choice we could have made, right? Expect the unexpected. It's just got loads of cubby holes and stuff. Is it? It's got loads of places where you can put things, and it does look at this. I'm in the back seat every day.
There you go.
An adventure in this thing.
It's up to you to tell me in the comments what you thought about it anyway. I think there's pretty much only positive things coming out of this gameplay. Some cool stuff. And anyway, we'll have the chance to meet again, I think tomorrow or the day after, for a debrief about all the little things we missed by not listening too much to the developers, and focusing more on what was, the newest stuff.
the best car in the world. That's certainly not...
Alright, I'll stop here because the gameplay is going to end in a few moments. Thank you for watching this long gameplay and see you soon for one of our videos. Bye.